Hello and welcome back to Newsroom Nigeria. This is where we give you hot, fresh, and sizzling news all day long. If this is your first time here, or you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly click on the subscribe button down below. Give this video a massive thumbs up as well. Also, leave your opinions in the comment section below. Former Anambra State Governor and 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has reacted to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's planned visit to Benue State following a wave of deadly attacks that recently claimed numerous lives. The presidency announced on Monday that the president is scheduled to visit Benue on Wednesday in what appears to be a response to mounting public pressure and growing national outrage over the government's silence on the tragedy. Obi, who had earlier criticized the president for failing to publicly acknowledge or visit the affected communities, welcomed the news but stressed the need for a more urgent and compassionate approach to national tragedies. It was refreshing news on Monday to a bewildered nation learning that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has finally decided to visit the scene of a brutal killings in Benue State. For this, I thank him, even as I make further request that similar gesture should be extended to NAIJA State that lost more number of human lives in a natural disaster flood recently. Obi said in a statement issued on Tuesday. The former governor argued that while the visit is a step in the right direction, the delayed response diminishes the urgency such situations demand. Given the emergency nature of these incidents, a prompt visit would have delivered the urgency needed, instead of giving future dates that makes it look like a state visit, he said. He added, the presence of a president in these devastated and grieving communities will be very reassuring and uplifting. Both Benue and Niger states have lost over 200 lives, each due to recent tragedies. In Okoye alone, more than 200 people were confirmed dead, and over 1,000 are still missing following the floods. These are not just statistics, these are the lives of Nigerian families torn apart and their communities destroyed. He also drew comparisons with the actions of other world leaders, referencing South African president's recent trip to console victims of flood in his country. The distance from Abuja to these affected areas is not far. Abuja to Makurdi is about 282 kilometers, and Abuja to Mokwa is about 287 kilometers. Combined, that's roughly 1,134 kilometers for round trip to both locations, still significantly less than the 1,870 kilometer round trip President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa recently made some days ago from Pretoria to Tata to personally visit flood victims in his country. Less than 100 persons died in Tata and more than 200 died in Mokwa, with over 1,000 still missing. If a South African president could do it, we trust that you, as our own president, can do the same for your people, Obi urged. He also called for stronger leadership and improved national security measures. Let your visit to Mokwa send a strong message that all Nigerian lives matter and that no community, no matter how rural, is forgotten. Please also consider stepping up security across the country, especially in disaster-prone areas. We look forward to seeing not leadership by remote control, but proactive leadership that responds not just with words, but with compassion and action. What are your thoughts? Let's have them in the comment section below. What do you all think of Peter Obi's reaction to the visit? I do not even think that, the presidency, if it's compassionate, have to wait for, him to be criticized before he decides to visit people who have experienced this much loss. In, in Benue State, in the community where, this, should we just call it massacre, took place. There are people who lost about 30 people of their family members. There are people who are just the only surviving member of their family. It's just really sad that, in this modern day, we are still talking about farmer-stroke herders crisis in Nigeria. I just feel like the federal government needs to, find a lasting solution to this issue. The president do not have to wait for him to be criticized before he has to visit. We don't even have to, lose 1,000 lives for it to matter. Even one life of a Nigerian, it does matter. It does matter. The president does not have to wait for it to be up to 1,000 lives lost for him to now feel very compassionate, or for him to feel like the situation is, an emergency and very urgent one. We don't even have to lose people, to take proactive steps. According to reports, from an eyewitness of this community where, this massacre took place in Benue State, they knew that the attack was coming. People had already started leaving their houses to go to sleep in the church, to go to sleep in the community town hall, to go to sleep in the markets, because they knew that, this attack was imminent. They even went as far as reporting to the security operatives. But what did they do? What did the security operatives do? You would think that, in a normal working country, in a normal working society, when the police people were alerted of these attacks, they would have gone ahead, to send policemen and security to these people, seeing that they have even, tried to make their jobs easier by sleeping in the school compound. Large crowds, about 1,000 people, were reported, to have left their home to sleep in the school. I'm not even talking about people from other places like the market, the store, other places that people, had to gather to sleep. They have made their job easy. The Nigerian police could have just dispatched policemen to those areas, to protect them. But they did not do that. They did not do that. They waited until the disaster happened, before they interfered. It's really so bad that, these things keeps happening. These attacks keeps happening, and they keep getting away with it. And imagine the statement made by the president saying that reconciliation. Everything in Nigeria, everything in Africa, we think that is really about reconciliation. But how do you reconcile somebody who has lost his whole family with the killer? How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? It's just really sad. These people need to be held responsible. That is what the president should have said, not, they need to reconcile. There was no mention of, these people have to be brought to book. They have to pay for what they have done. Taking the life of another human being is a crime. But I'm starting to think that, I'm starting to question that fact, now. I'm starting to ask myself, is it even a crime anymore? Or is it only when it is being committed by Fulani headsmen that it ceases to become a crime? You can imagine that. And I think if the Nigerian army or the Nigerian police cannot protect their people, these people need to start carrying gun. They do not even need to wait for permits anymore, because at least Fulani headsmen carry gun, when they are taking their cows, to eat. So these people need to start carrying gun to protect themselves. They need to start carrying gun to protect themselves and shoot whoever, because this is getting too much. It's really getting too much. Let's have your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section. Thank you very much for always listening and watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.